Hey everyone, it's TJ. Welcome back to my channel, New Zealand Mysteries. I haven't done a live for a few days because I've been working, but there's quite a few things that have come up on the Gabby Petito case and Brian Laundrie case, and I wanted to actually go through some of that information. I don't know who's about, so we'll wait and see if some people come in. Tony and Valentina, welcome. So I also have the police report from when Gabby and Brian were pulled up in Utah. So I want to go through that as well. That's quite frustrating, but an interesting read. Big news that's just happened is the coroner is going to release a report on Gabby's autopsy tomorrow. That's 2:30 p.m. I think Pacific time for you guys, which means it will be 7:30 a.m. in the morning for me. I don't know if I'll get up for it, but I'll definitely have to look. And I think that's going to be crazy. If they release the cause of death, I think it's going to go a bit bonkers, to be honest. Yeah, the media will definitely go crazy when they hear the coroner's report tomorrow. I also wanted to talk about Dog. Apparently, he has hurt his foot in the swamps, and so all of him and his team are going back to Colorado to regroup and have a think about what they are going to do and what their next game plan is, I guess. So we'll look up about Dog as well. There's a state attorney that's spoken out about what Chris and Roberta Laundrie could be charged with, if anything. And so I also want to take a look at that because he was very interesting in letting us know. Tony Martin says, coroner will release a piece of paper with a lot of redaction. Yes, probably, but let's hope we can actually get some information from it. Otherwise, it's pointless him releasing it, I guess. So I also have an interview with Northport Police that I wanted to play, and a little bit more that's going on around the Laundrie house, which is quite amusing, I guess, in some ways. So I want to just sit back and chat about things. If you've got something you want to chat about, let's hear it. Just be respectful, be kind. If someone is annoying you in chat, just block them. Don't mention other creators, and don't be a dick. It's pretty easy. Tony says laundries appear to be in the club. What do you mean by that? So I'm going to put up these police reports from the Utah pullover, and I'd like you to tell me if you can see them, and then hopefully I'll be able to read them. Just give us a minute. I'm not the most technical person, I tell you. But I'm trying to get right. So I need you guys to tell me if you're going to be able to see this. All right, can you see this report? No one's going to let me know. So this is from the Moab Police Department, and it came from someone at reddit.com at Curzon on Twitter. That is where we found this, and this is 3 of the police that were there when they pulled over. So I'm going to read this out. Okay, guys. Hi, Mark. So the first one is from Eric Pratt, August the 13th, 2021. I arrived on scene and observed as 2 park officers also arrived. I assisted Officer Robbins with his investigation until I was called away to a report of an intoxicated male nearby, posing a safety risk to himself or others. Before leaving, I spoke with the male driver of the van. the female passenger, and also called Chris, and Chris is the witness, to get more information from him. All three individuals gave me a similar and consistent story, consisting of the basic idea that the driver of the van, a male, had some sort of argument with the female, Gabby, as I recall. The male tried to create distance by telling Gabby to go and take a walk to calm down. She didn't want to be separated from the male and began slapping him. He grabbed her face and pushed her back as she pressed upon him in the van. He tried to lock her out and succeeded, except for his driver's door. She opened that and forced her way over him and into the vehicle before it drove off. No one reported that the male struck the female. Both the male and the female reported they are in love and engaged to be married and desperately didn't wish to see anyone charged with a crime. There were no significant injuries reported, and both agreed that Gabby suffers from serious anxiety, etc. It appeared that this incident was more accurately characterized as a mental or emotional health break than a domestic assault. I had to leave, but I understand that Officer Robbins got the male lodging through Seek Haven. Gabby retained possession of the van, and they agreed to separate for the night. No charges were filed, and no one wished for charges to be filed or for the separation to take place, although that was at minimum what Officer Robbins required in lieu of making a case against Gabby for domestic assault. Gabby is a 22-year-old female who is approximately 5'2" to 5'4" and about 110 pounds, while her fiancé is older, taller, and much heavier than her. He had no fear for his safety and did not exhibit any indicators that he may be a victim of battered boyfriend syndrome. He was assessed to be at low risk of danger or harm as a result of his proximity to his fiancée, Gabby. Nothing further. Wow. So what do you guys think of that? Hey, Jeanette, good to see you. Wonder if he'll ever get caught. He can't hide for too long. Hey, he can't. He's going to have to need some supplies at some stage. Even if he took, we don't know what supplies he took. Did he take like a hammock? Did he take food? He said it was said that he only had one bag. So there's only a small amount of stuff that you can put in one bag. So sure, he's got to come out at some stage. That's for sure. So what did you just think of that first letter? Hi, Tony. Cops say to Brian, you're the victim. Brian laughs. The fist pump, nothing weird there. Yeah, it doesn't look good, does it? At all. Okay, I'll read the next one, which is from Daniel Scott Robinson. On the 8th of 12th, 21, at approximately 16:44 hours, I responded to a possible domestic violence in progress call. A van with both a male and female as occupants was reported leaving the area of 39 East 100 northbound on Main Street. One of the witnesses described the vehicle as a white Ford Transit van with a black ladder on the rear with Florida license plate QFT G03. Witness Christopher reported seeing a male later identified as Brian Laundrie and a female later identified as Gabrielle Petito arguing over a phone. Christopher stated that when Brian got the van, he saw what appeared to him as Gabrielle hitting Brian in the arm and then climbing through the driver's window as if Brian had locked her out and she was trying to find a way in. I located a white van that matched the description on North Main Street at the Highway 128 turnoff. After I crossed the bridge, I was able to catch up to the van in the turnoff of Arches National Park. I confirmed the vehicle's license plate and initiated the stop. I followed the vehicle as it continued towards the entrance gate to Arches National Park. I noted the van traveled approximately 45 miles per hour in a 15 mile per hour speed zone. So how come he didn't get a speeding ticket. Just saying. Once I had activated my lights to initiate a traffic stop, I watched the van cross the double yellow dividing line in one lane, merge to lane 2, and abruptly swerved to the right. When the vehicle swerved, both the front and rear passenger side wheels hit the curb, a short distance before the entrance gate. The vehicle came to a complete stop. Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll keep going. I approached the vehicle and saw the only occupants being Gabrielle and Brian. Gabby, who was in the passenger seat, was crying uncontrollably. I asked Gabrielle to get out of the vehicle to speak with me. Gabby told me that she suffers from redacted. She continued because of her redacted, combined with little arguments she and Brian had been having that day. She was struggling with her mental health, which led to the incident that was reported to law enforcement. Gabby stated that when she saw the lights, she hit Brian in the arm to get his attention, which in turn caused him to hit the curb while I was following them. I asked Gabby if her intention was to hurt Brian, and her response was that she did not intend to hurt him, but rather get his attention to notice me as I was behind them with the lights on. At no point in my investigation did Gabby stop crying, breathing heavily, or compose a sentence without needing to wipe away tears, wipe her nose, or rub her knees with her hands. That's really, really sad. At no point in the investigation did Gabby stop crying, breathing heavily, or compose a sentence without needing to wipe away tears, wipe her nose, or rub her knees with her hands. That's really, really sad. Very, very sad. Just give me a moment here. I just need to try and pick up something over here. Hey, Autumn. Good to see you. All right. Trying to get things sorted. So I'll remove this just for the moment. What do you think of that? Jeanette says, yeah, I definitely agree. He's going to need stuff at some point. Survival instincts can't keep up forever. I think it'll be different because if he's in Florida, it might be really hard for him to go and get supplies because everybody knows what they're looking for. I wonder if he's on the Appalachian Trail, then I'm wondering if it's going to be harder for him to be noticed. Like there's a lot of little towns or little trails and little stores along there, and if he puts on a face mask and a hat, I think he could easily actually go and get some supplies. We don't know what he had with him either, and yeah. Exactly. Tony says, redacted audio 1 about meds. Yes, 2, radio tells cop about Brian. After that, cops go after Gabby. Hey, Autumn Fools. Good to see you. Tony, you think that the things that were redacted were OCD and anxiety? Possibly could be. Possibly could have been. All right, we will look again and read a bit more. Oh dear. You wouldn't believe. Can you guys see that? Well, you can, can't you? Can you? I think you can. All right. So we've heard from 2 cops, but there is from a 3rd as well. This one is from Daniel Scott Robbins. After I sat Gabby in the back seat of my car, I asked Brian to step out of the vehicle to speak with me. He told me they both suffer from blank, and although her blank is more advanced than his, Issues between the two had been building over the last few days. This, in turn, caused them to argue more than usual. Brian told me that neither he nor Gabby take medication. Start again. Brian told me neither him nor Gabby take medication for their blank. Brian explained he and Gabby have been travelling together for the last 4 to 5 months. That time spent created emotional strain between them and increased the number of arguments. While arguing near Main Street, he had attempted to separate from her so they could both calm their emotions. He got into their van and Gabby had gone into a manic state. Brian said Gabby, thinking he was going to leave her in Moab without a ride, went to slap him. As Gabby started to swing, Brian pushed her away to avoid the slap. As a result, Gabby was off balance, but still caught Brian's face with some fingers, causing some minor visible scratches. Brian continued that when he had seen my lights, he thought Gabby had grabbed the wheel of the van and pulled it, causing the van to hit the curb. I observed some small scratches to Brian's right arm, and when I asked him about them, he supposed they must have happened when Gabby was trying to get his attention about me being behind them with the lights on. This, however, was not something with Gabrielle's statement, further suggesting her confused and emotional state. It was a very horrible place for an arrow to be, just saying. Something about the totality of the circumstances, I do not believe the situation escalated to the level of a domestic assault violence, much as that of a mental health crisis. I then determined the most appropriate course of action would to separate the parties for the next night so they could reset their mental states without interference from one or the other. And although they did express a desire to remain together, they both ultimately agreed to be separated until the following day. Accordingly, I was able to contact Safe Haven and get Brian a hotel room for the night. I instructed both Brian and Gabby to take advantage of this time apart to relax their emotions and regain control of their anxiety. I also asked them to avoid contacting each other until the next morning if at all possible. Gabby maintained possession of the van while I transported Brian to the hotel. They did both have their own cell phones in case of emergency. So they both had cell phones. Around 7 p.m., I went to where the witness Christopher lived and had him fill out a statement form. Christopher told me that he was not entirely sure what he had seen, but feared the worst, which is why he came forward as a witness and agreed to complete a written statement. Body camera video is available on evidence.com. And there you have it. Pretty simple. They're pretty simple They're pretty simple reports for the amount of stuff that went on. Sort of just like straight to the point, I guess. But they did leave a bit out that was supposed to be redacted, and that said anxiety. So, and that was talking about Gabby's anxiety. So I was just saying to everyone that before you came in, Autumn, that the coroner is going to release a report on Gabby's death tomorrow. It's at 10 or 2:30 p.m. For me, it's 7 a.m., but that's okay. It's okay. So this is information from Brian Enton on his Twitter page. He says the Teton County Coroner will hold a press conference tomorrow at 12:30 MST, 2:30 EST regarding the ruling of the autopsy of Gabby Petito. A presser will be held on Zoom and News Nation Now will stream online. They'll put up a link tomorrow. So that's going to be very, very interesting. And it's going to be very interesting how people actually react when it comes out as well. I think this is going to make it crazier, even if it wasn't crazy enough, it's going to be crazier. I've got like contractors outside, so if you hear lots of noise, it's their fault. Autumn, the autopsy will be really interesting. Yeah, it will. So a couple of other things that I've got here to talk about is there was first I wanted to share this, if I can figure out how. That's the thing, I'll figure out how. Okay, I think I can show it. That's it. All right. Just give me a second. I want to show you a picture of Gabby's memorial. So this is Gabby's memorial about to come up, and it's absolutely beautiful. And actually puts tears in your eyes, I guess. So I can't seem to make that bigger for some reason, but yeah, there's even like a big koala bear in there. Lots and lots of teddy bears and flowers. There you go. And it's just so colourful as well. And, you know, when you look at Gabby and her posts and her photos and that, she was always artistic and colourful in her personality. So this is really, really nice. And apparently her parents did go down to the memorial. It's just beautiful. And it says here that the city will take all this down tomorrow and give all the items to the family, which is really nice. So there's a couple of other things I wanted to share with you. This here is an interview with the policeman, Northport Police spokesperson.
I was here when the police chief had the press conference and said, we have our eyes on Brian Laundrie. We know where he is, and we're not going to tell the media, but we know where he is. And then I think it was the next day that suddenly he was missing. I mean, how did that happen?
Well, I think you have a situation where you're working on intelligence, you're working on the best that you have. And I think what I'll tell you is that at no time did we make, we weren't lying. We weren't trying to say something to anybody. We were holding that press conference to be transparent about what was going on. I mean, and what would be in our benefit to say that if we thought it wasn't true? No investigation's perfect.
Was he under surveillance? I mean, did you have eyes on him?
What I'll say to that is that we were doing everything within the law that we could with the facts and the circumstances that were at that time.
Do you have any idea how he got away?
What I'll say is that that is a consistent something that we're working to figure out. As far as how we got away, I don't even know how to answer that.
Well, what I mean is, if he was staying with his parents at the house, and I was out there were a lot of police outside the house. A lot of the time.
Why didn't you see him?
I didn't see him, and I was out there. Police were out there. I mean, we've heard stories. Could he have gone out a back door? Could he have, run through a yard? I mean, do you have any idea?
Yeah. No. I think certainly what the family has told us is that he drove out to the park and walked out into the woods. I think that is certainly on the table.
Do you believe the family at this point? Is there reason to not believe them?
Yeah. At this point, everything that I've learned and we figured out is I don't know necessarily what to believe anymore. I think it's certainly possible that they're expressing what they know, but we'll see. I mean, this is an ongoing investigation that will continue to evolve. And, I think you saw yesterday that the family was out there helping in the search. I think, It's a sign of them trying to work with investigators. So I hope that is, the beginning to maybe more of what they know.
Is there anything more you can share with the Mustang situation? Because so many people are confused that he drove in the Mustang and then his parents would go get the Mustang and bring it back without him. I mean, it doesn't really make sense in some ways.
No, I agree with that. I mean, we've said from the beginning, there's a lot of oddness here, a lot of things that just didn't make sense. I mean, if your son walks out there, now they're saying on a Monday, to report that on a Friday, and then be confused on what day that was. I mean, there's a lot of things that are odd there.
Based on what you do know, do police believe that Brian Laundrie is still alive?
It's possible. I certainly think that it would not surprise me if he is. Wouldn't surprise me if he's not.
Is it 50-50 in your mind? Do you have an inkling one way or the other?
I mean, I guess if we had to put odds on it, I would say that that's probably pretty close. I think I don't want to. We've gotten in a little bit of an issue by thinking we knew something, and I just don't know that it does any good to say, oh, I think he's alive or dead. I think it's certainly possible one way or the other.
So interesting to hear police say that right now. They think it's basically 50-50 whether or not Brian Laundrie is dead or alive. They were pretty.
So what was interesting about that comment is when it was mentioned that the family was starting to go out and help. He only went for one day, by the way, Chris, which is the dad. And they said, oh, maybe now the family's trying to show, that they are interested and that they are trying to help. Bollocks. If they were trying to help, they would have got into this ages ago. Hey, Anna, welcome, honey. Autumn says, in the cops' defense, there are often spokespeople who don't necessarily know all the details. Absolutely, but I just don't think he's that great at it. But, yeah. So, for those, hi TJ, coming in. I was just doing a wee bit of an update of things that has been going on in the last few days that I haven't sort of been around. So I know that that TikTok group again hired a banner or a fly banner, which I'll try and find a picture of soon. It had a different message this time. But this is what I want to play. And this is it this one? No, it's this one here. It's about as an attorney, and he takes some questions about what we've been thinking. Hey, Curious Kiwi. So this is one I wanted to
Strength to review these questions from viewers. They sent us these video questions on Twitter, and I'm going to begin with a question that Sherry had for you.
If the Laundrie family attorney knows exactly where Brian is that covered under attorney-client privilege?
Well, Sherry, when it comes to affirmatively telling law enforcement where someone is, no one is required to do so. Now, don't even think of it as terms of, is it Brian's lawyer or not? No one is required to go affirmatively to a police officer and say, hey, I know where he is. Now, if you're asked by law enforcement and you lie, that's a crime. And lawyers, although they do have attorney-client privilege, there's still something called a crime fraud exception. So if the lawyer is helping Brian escape, if the lawyer is destroying evidence, then that would be a crime, and the lawyer could be charged with a crime. But no, the lawyer, even if he knows where Brian is under no obligation to affirmatively go to law enforcement and tell them.
That's a question I know a lot of people have had, Dave. All right, this next question comes from Dalton about cold cases. Listen.
I was just curious, how much time has to go by without any new leads, any new information, any new tips for this to transition into a cold case?
A case becomes cold, Dalton, when all investigative leads available to the primary investigators are exhausted. And so then it goes into like a cold designation, and it's usually after a period of time. So in many jurisdictions, it's about 3 years. So this case is long before it gets to a cold case. It's nowhere near a cold case yet, so you don't have to worry about that. But even if it is a cold case, they are periodically reviewed. There are new technologies like DNA that help break those cases. So it doesn't mean that the case is just put aside forever. It still remains open in its own way.
Dave, new tonight, we had heard that the Teton County Coroner is going to come out tomorrow and hold some sort of press conference. We anticipate it is in relation to Gabby's autopsy. So this question is connected to that and comes from Andy.
If the autopsy is done and the coroner's report is complete, is it unusual that they haven't released Gabby's remains to her family yet? And what might that tell us about the investigation?
Well, I don't think we know if the remains have been released to the family. I haven't seen that yet. But in general, once the tests and all the physical evidence is taken, then they release it to the family within 48 hours. At least that's what happens in Florida. Even when the cause of death is pending, even when the toxicology reports are outstanding, the body is generally released to the family within 48 hours after the physical evidence is removed and the tests are taken. So I don't know whether the body here was sent to Gabby's family already, but I wouldn't read too much into that. Sometimes also in high profile cases, you can see that law enforcement will be extra careful. Medical examiners will do more tests because of the great public attention.
Mm-hmm. And timing and strategy all play into this. All right, Dave, this next question is from Shinu.
My question is as follows. If Brian Laundrie is caught and it's determined that he was somehow involved in the murder, then which authority is legally entitled to try him first?
He could be tried in Wyoming where the murder takes place. That's where he would be tried. But the question is whether it would be the state prosecutors or federal prosecutors. If he committed the murder, allegedly, if he committed it at the national park, Grand Teton National Park, that's a federal property, and the federal prosecutors can prosecute the case. Generally, when there is a battle between the feds and state prosecutors, the feds generally win. State prosecutors usually defer to our federal counterparts.
All right, Dave, I've got a couple of questions here from folks on Twitter that they sent in. This is from Charity. She said, I want to know when the parents hired an attorney and why did they hire him if they did nothing?
Well, as a prosecutor, we always ask the same thing, but everyone's entitled to a defense. Everyone's entitled to remaining silent. And so you don't necessarily look at someone's decision to hire a lawyer as evidence of guilt. They may just want to protect their rights. You can look at it from their perspective that they want to make sure they don't say or do something that would put them in legal jeopardy if they shouldn't be in legal jeopardy. Now, I know for the public, it's like, hey, why do you need a lawyer unless you're guilty? But there are a lot of reasons why someone would not want to come forth with information that could make them look guilty when they're not. So I'm trying to look at the best way for the defense here, but generally I'm with you. As a prosecutor, we often question why this person lawyers up. It usually is a sign of guilt. And by the way, you can't refer to that in court. Like you can't say, hey, they lawyered up and they remain silent, and that means they're guilty. They have the right to remain silent. They have the right to lawyer up, and it can't be used against them in a court of law.
Whether you like it or not. Dave Ehrenberg.
Okay, so that's that one. But I found some of that quite interesting. And I had another couple of things I wanted to bring up here. This is an article, and in a statement from their lawyer, the couple said they don't know where Brian is and are concerned for him. This was given to abcactionnews.com. They also said speculation that they helped him get away to avoid being arrested is just wrong. Chris and Roberta Laundrie do not know where Brian is. They are concerned about Brian and hope the FBI can locate him. The speculation by the public and some in the press that the parents assisted Brian in leaving the family home or in avoiding arrest on a warrant that was issued after Brian had already been missing for several days is just wrong. He is wanted on a federal warrant for using a debit card that didn't belong to him. Gabby's Petito's parents are set to speak out for the first time since her memorial service on Sunday. The family is holding a press conference in New York at 1 p.m. on Tuesday. So a lot of information there, guys, and let's see what you think. Anna, his parents are hiding the guy that took Gabby's life. Yeah, well, we don't know, do we? They could be hiding him, or they could not be hiding him. We just don't know. Well, Tony says, Autumn, let's look at it. Moab cops went after Gabby, protected Brian. Northport police let him go. FBI looked in swamp for 3 weeks. Do the math. I don't think that... Well, listen, we like to hear all point of views over here in this channel, and we do like to know where you get your ideas from. But I don't think the FBI are helping him whatsoever. But you are entitled to your own opinion. Autumn says, I didn't realise that the lawyer didn't have a legal obligation to turn him in. That was very, very interesting. I didn't realise that either. Tony says, FBI turn up, the Laundrie send them to the swamp for 3 weeks. But, I mean, they had to investigate. If that's where they said it was the last time they saw a missing person, then that has to be investigated, doesn't it? And I know I don't understand this case at all. There are a lot of moving parts in this case. And it's hard to keep up from day to day, or, even week to week, day to day, of what's happening, because every day there's something going on. Curious Kiwi, sorry, I was making coffee. How rude. Oh, I'm making coffee. People are naive if they don't consider law enforcement involvement. I don't think I like you to call people naive, especially in my chat. So if you don't stop calling people names, then you'll have to go. Some people do consider law enforcement may be involved and they're entitled to their opinion, but lots of other people do not think that, Tony. The cops didn't do it. No problem, Curious Kiwi. I just went to grab some tea. Did I hear my name from New Zealand Mysteries? Yes, you did, Autumn. I said your name. So if the lawyer isn't obligated to turn him in, the lawyer could have him parked up in one of the houses. Could do, because he's a real estate lawyer, isn't he? So he's got to have properties everywhere. And maybe he made it to New York and he's in one of those properties that the lawyer owns. Who knows? We just don't know. Autumn says, I think police goofed up big time in letting him go, but definitely they were not directly involved. That's what I think as well, definitely. I'm just making sure I'm getting all the information that I wanted to. So I know that the TikTok group raised another $2,000 to get another plane with a message to fly over. And it probably wasn't taken so well. Now, just a statement on the body that was actually discovered along the Blue Ridge Parkway a couple of days ago, and people were thinking it might be Brian. FBI stated, the body discovered along the Blue Ridge Parkway on Saturday, October the 9th, 2021, as part of an ongoing investigation. At this time, there is no evidence to connect or any reason to believe it is related to the search for fugitive Brian Laundrie. So they're ruling that out. So this time the banner plane that said, end the silence, justice for Gabby. All right. Autumn, I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be honest. It feels like too much like harassment. So lots of things going on. We've got the coroner's report coming out tomorrow. It'll be coming out when I'm asleep, so I'm going to have to make sure I get up early to read it. Any of you think you know what it might say? Have you got any ideas of what might have happened to her for a cause of death? Do you feel like they'll release the report, but so much of it will be redacted that we can't get the information that we want anyway? So Autumn Falls, it said 2:30 p.m. Oh, crap. Hang on. I'll go back and look for you, because I can't exactly remember what they said. I don't work with times because we don't need them here. The Teton County Coroner will hold a press conference tomorrow at 12:30 MST, which is 2:30 EST, regarding the ruling of the autopsy of Gabby Petito. A presser will be held on Zoom at News Nation Now will stream online, and he'll put out a link tomorrow. Brian Enton will on his Twitter to go to that. John Walsh has let it slip that she was beaten to death, but he might be just guessing. Okay. Hope she wasn't. I mean, whichever way she goes, it's going to be awful, isn't it? Hey, Julie, welcome. Everyone just made it in, better late than never. Hope all is well with everyone. Yes, all is well. Thank you very much. Anna says he knocked her out, strangled her. I'm thinking about strangling, but the reason I think about it being strangling is the way he held her face like that. If he's okay to hold her face like that, so full on, then it doesn't seem to me to be a big jump to hold her neck like that. But that's just speculation, and in my opinion. Autumn Fall says, oh, 2, where did I get 6 from? I don't know. Okay, 12:30 my time. I'm not sure if I'll be home then. Well, it's going to be all over the internet, isn't it? When we get home, we'll wake up. So Autumn says, I expect that they'll at least release a cause of death and maybe tox screen. Yeah, I hope they at least release the cause of death, for sure. So I was just saying that dog apparently hurt his ankle while wading in the swamp at Fort DeSoto. So all of his group have gone back to Colorado to regroup and decide where they want to go from there. In an article I did see, let me know if you want me to look it up, that he says he has found quite a few things out there that belong to Brian, and he thinks he's on the right track. So that's very interesting. Autumn says, I shouldn't laugh at dog's injury, but it's kind of comical. Yeah, he's getting old. He can't sort of go on these treks as much as he used to and run around in swamps and all that and expect to come out okay, I guess. So I'm absolutely... I don't know what this is going to say, this autopsy report, but yeah, it's going to be big, I think. Now, what do we think of the father going out to look for Brian for a day? They're trying to, as lawyers, trying to paint it off as they've always been wanting to go out, but because the park's been closed, they haven't been able to go and search for their son. And they've been asking, and this is the first time that the FBI has said, yeah, sure, come out. This is what they're trying to paint it as the family the whole time has wanted to go out and to look. The family haven't put up any flyers around looking for their missing son. And don't you think that's one of the first things you'd do? What about the Appalachian Trail? They haven't gone there looking for the sun. They haven't gone when they've heard sightings of their sun. They hasn't gone to see if it was correct. So all of a sudden, we find out that they've been trying to help the FBI the whole time. And yeah. Curious, he's 68. Yes, he actually is. Dog is 68. So he's not a young fella. Curious, Kiwi, you think it was a publicity stunt with Dog? I did read an article from TMZ, and it was from Dog's estranged stepdaughter. And she obviously doesn't talk to Dog anymore, but she went on to say that she thinks it's just a publicity stunt. He's written a new television show that he's trying to put out to all networks at the moment to try and get them to take it. So definitely thinks it's a publicity stunt. But publicity stunt or not, he still brought extra attention to the case. So I think that anything that brings attention to the case has got to be a good thing, even if it is a stunt, like they say, but we don't know that for sure. Autumn says, I feel like he did it more for appearances or something. I could be wrong, and maybe his lawyer was advising him to stay home, but still. Has Brian still using Instagram? It was all show his dad. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Curious says, no publicity stunt, Christopher going out to search. Publicity stunt, Christopher going out to search. Yes, I think that was definitely a publicity stunt. Absolutely. He wanted to go, hey guys, look, I care for my son. I'm actually going out with the FBI to look now. The FBI or people have said that the reason they asked him to go out is he could point out tracks and trails that him and his son have been on. There was a small group of people that thought that there was something out there that he needed to identify, but it doesn't look like that's happened at all. And they're not wanting him again, so he can't have been that much of a help anyway. Autumn says, so a quick Google search turns up different advice from police and missing persons organisations about whether or not families should aid in search. Yes. So a lot of people that I've heard, cops have said, stay home so that if he comes home, you're here. And we don't want you to find a body if you're out searching. So that's a lot of the things that I've heard. And yet other parents don't care. They will get out there and do everything they can. They will hand out thousands of flyers. So definitely every family is different. Autumn says, if it's a search for a suspect, they may want family far away. That's right. Another thing that happened overnight, which was quite comical, to be honest, the neighbours at the Laundries hammered in a couple of pictures of Gabby that were facing their house. And then another protester or person actually drove past their house, opened the door and threw, no shit, 16 laundry baskets on their front lawn. 16. And then late at night, I think it was like 11:30 p.m., 12. I'm not sure where the footage is. I have seen it. The laundries came out, picked up every single laundry basket, and they took out the pictures of Gabby and took them inside. And they haven't been seen in the rubbish bin, so it means that they've got them inside the house somewhere. And I don't know how I feel about that. They didn't have to take the ones of Gabby down. I don't know what I'm going to use the grocery or the baskets for. Curious says, poor dog has gotten a bad rap, but he's out searching. He's put money into the reward, and he said if he finds Brian, the reward will go to the Gabby Petito Foundation. All good things in my book. Yeah, I totally agree with you. He has got a bad rap. But when you look at the things he's doing, you know, putting money into the reward, I think it was a good chunk of money as well. And if he finds Brian, giving the reward to the Gabby Petito Foundation. That's really, really nice. Maybe we should have a look up on Dog shortly and see how he's doing. Curious Kiwi on. Honestly, don't know much about Dog, but I don't usually like reality TV-based celebrities. That was comical, watching the dirty laundries coming out to pick up the baskets. It was comical, but I'm just not actually sure where to get that information. I'll have a quick look. Now, do you know what it's giving me? Laundries that pick up and deliver your clothes. So, yeah, that's not very good. Okay, let's see what happens if I press go. Okay, I have something crazy. Let's have a little look-see. Just give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. You know, my computers aren't always the best. Okay, I'm not going to have that. But anyway, yeah, it was something to see, that's for sure. I mean, at least Chris did help. If they're just not doing anything. At least they're not doing nothing. They did something. I don't care for the people harassing the laundries, even if they are guilty or complicit. I feel like the public is acting like vigilantes and harassing the family. Yeah, I feel like too, in a way. I mean, look at Cassie and her little kids that were so distressed by it. And surely, if you're a neighbour and you've got all this shit going on, you must be sick of it by now. It's been 4 weeks since they've been out. I will look on here for Dog, the bounty hunter, and see if we can get some updates on where this dude is. Dog. When are they going to find him? You know, when are they going to find him? It's been 4 weeks now, and there's just nothing. They haven't found one piece of clothing or anything. So he hasn't actually put anything on Twitter for a wee while. We'll just Google away. All right. I've got something from Yahoo News or news.yahoo.com. Dog the bounty hunter is off Brian Laundrie's trail for now, but he says he plans to continue leading efforts to capture the suspect remotely. Dog the bounty hunter, whose real name is Dwayne Chapman, going back to Colorado to receive treatment for an ankle injury he experienced during his search for Laundrie, his team said Sunday. While he is away, Dog's Florida team will continue the search while he processes leads in Colorado. That's from WFLA reporter Josh Benson. Dog said, just got an update from Dog, the bounty hunter's team. They say he's headed back to Colorado to meet with his doctor after injuring his ankle in the search. He's also raising funds to continue what he calls an expensive search. Dog's daughter, Lisa Chapman, confirmed the news through her Twitter account Sunday, assuring both the family and the team in Florida are still looking for Brian Laundrie. Dog the bounty hunter joined the hunt for Brian on the 27th of September, 4 days after a warrant was issued for Laundrie's arrest. Laundrie went missing shortly after he returned home from a vacation with his girlfriend, Gabby Petito, who was found dead in Wyoming on September the 19th. Authorities still have not found Laundrie, now nearly a month after his arrest warrant was issued. Laundrie's older sister, Cassie, said she does not know where her brother is, but if she did, she would cooperate with authorities. She also said if she could talk to her brother, she would tell him to just come forward and get us out of this horrible mess. That's very sad from her. And I do wonder, what does he think about the mess that his sister and that his parents are going through, all because of him? Does he not give a shit? Can't tell me that he doesn't have access to a phone with internet on it, and he can see all the news stories. I mean, it's everywhere. So you can't tell me he doesn't know how much this is hurting his family. Autumn, I'm still surprised he hasn't been found. Curious, if the Laundries just put out some kind of statement, it would take the heat off. Their lawyer's advice is just advice. They can still do the right thing. And the thing is, this lawyer has been their real estate lawyer for years and years and years and years. He's not a criminal attorney at all. So how can they take his advice? Does he know what he's talking about, you know? Autumn says, very true. He isn't a criminal lawyer, so his advice might be wrong. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he's just faking it till he's making it, because he's a real estate lawyer. He has not done criminal before. So they're putting a lot into his basket, for sure. He doesn't care about his sister. I don't know if Brian Laundrie gives or cares about anyone but Brian Laundrie. If he did, he wouldn't have killed Gabby, and if he did, he wouldn't be putting his parents and his sister, the family, through this, basically. So, yeah. So earlier on, I'm not sure if you guys were here or not, but earlier on, Autumn's kindly sent me the police report from the cops that pulled Gabby and Brian over in Utah. If you weren't here for that and you want me to read that again at some stage, let me know. I will do that. So there was one thing that I wanted to talk about since I'm starting to do more lives. I want to not always just concentrate on the Brian Laundrie case. There's so many other cases out there that need some attention that don't get much media attention, and if we can help with other cases, I'd really like to do that. So if you know of cases that are going on in your neighborhood, let me know, and that's something that we could possibly look into. Judy, hi Judy, welcome. And she says, yes, please, I missed it. That's all good. I'll wait for a little while and see if more people come in before I read it again. It's quite an interesting read, but good to have you here, Judy. So what do you guys think about that idea? Doing another case and looking into some other cases maybe. Autumn says, the case about the poor baby today was sad. I saw it on your Facebook page first and I was hoping there would be more updates. That's a really sad case. So if you don't know, I also do true crime videos from New Zealand. And the one I released today was about a newborn baby, a dead newborn baby that was found at a recycling plant here in New Zealand. And no one has been able to find the mother. They want to find the mum because they want to make sure that she's okay. And they want to put the baby to rest and bury with dignity and respect and with its whānau. And they haven't been able to do that. So very, very sad video. Anna, you're doing good. Thank you. Judy, you've been sleeping. Sleep's good. I love sleep. Julie, yes, that would be wonderful. Judy, great idea to do variety. So have any of you guys got any cases in mind that you know of that are going on? I want to stay clear of the Summer Wells case. the reason for that is it's still a very controversial subject on YouTube. There's still a lot of divide between the believers of this and the believers of this, and it just creates tension, and I just want to stay away from that case. Autumn said, they said the baby was full term, right? Yes. I've wondered if it was really young mum and the baby died of SIDS or something and she panicked. Possibly, but I mean, I also think that perhaps she was hiding the pregnancy from her family, perhaps, and didn't know what to do with it, sadly, and had to get rid of it, which is a horrible, horrible thing to have to do. And she must be in a terrible mess, maybe not physically, but mentally. I'd say she needs help, definitely. Do you guys have CCTV footage there? Yes, we do. If you're meaning, do they have CCTV footage at the big recycling plant? I think they said the baby must have come in on a truck, and there was 100 trucks that came into the facility that day. And so far, they haven't been able to track down the truck that the baby came in on. So, yeah, awful story. Now, what about these two girls? Shall we start with them, the newlyweds? And I have forgotten their names, which I feel really bad about. So do any of you remember those girls' names? We could possibly look up and see where that court case is, or where that case is going. Was it Kylan or something? I guess what I could do is just Google it. Two newlyweds. Let's put newlyweds. Newlyweds killed in Utah, in Moab, wasn't it? Let's try that. Crystal and Kylan, I think. Thank you. Okay, here's one. So, Autumn, you say you don't know which one they're talking about. Two young people were dead around the same time that Brian and Gabby were in Moab. And at some stage, they thought that it may be connected, but since have said no. So let's go and have a look and see. On August 16th, two women had been fatally shot at a campsite near Moab, Utah, and the case remains unsolved. So this is definitely around the time that Dickhead Brian was around there. Officials have confirmed that the case of Gabby Petito, the 22-year-old Long Island woman who went missing in a national park in Moab, Utah, and whose remains have possibly been found, is not linked to the unsolved murders of a newlywed couple found last month in the same vicinity, according to a published report. It has been determined that Gabby Petito missing persons case is not related to the double homicide case involving Crystal Turner, 38, and Kylan Schultz, 28, the Grand County Sheriff's Office said in a news release. On August 16th, both Schultz and Turner had been fatally shot at a campsite near Moab. Friends of the couple said that the pair noticed what they described as a creepy man around the area they were camping. Police continued to investigate the mysterious of the couple. When Inside Edition Digital contacted Kim Neal from the Moab, Utah Police Department to find out what led them to reach their conclusion, Neal would not provide any further details. 6 days after the bodies of Turner and Schultz had been discovered in Moab, Utah police responded to an argument between Petito and her fiancé, Brian Laundrie. When officers arrived, they met a crying and visibly distraught Petito. On September 11th, Petito was reported missing by her family after Laundrie returned to their home in Northport, Florida, about 80 miles south of Tampa, without her. Then on the Sunday, human remains were discovered consistent with the description of Gabby. So they're definitely saying that they're not linked, even though it's really, really, like, I think they said they haven't had a murder or a crime in that area in years and years and years. And then all of a sudden, there's 3 or 4 more, 3 murders in a matter of a week or 2 weeks or something. So, so sad. We'll have a look at something else too. Newlywed woman, they were at the same bar as Gabby and Brian that night. Yes. And where Gabby and Brian met the police that night at the Moonflower Co-op, one of the girls worked there. So it's very, very close. Now, when Brian went into the motel that night, apparently it was only like a few miles from where these girls were killed. So just really, like, on the outside, it sounds like Brian could have done this, but they are saying that that's not related. Autumn Falls, could it be a hate crime? I've wondered that because they were gay. I hope that's not the case because that's horrible. Hey, Teresa, good to see you. They just announced a serial killer in St. Louis going around killing women. Oh, interesting. That's very interesting. Who wants a serial killer around, you know? Okay, there's some more information about these 2 ladies. Hey, Teresa, it's good to see you. So it looks like the father of one of the girls is looking for clues off his own bag. I mean, we've seen how incompetent Moab police are. Hey, welcome, Elena. What is this world coming to? Scary. Yeah, it is. So, father searches for clues in Moab 1 month after camping newlyweds were killed. Old City Park was quiet Friday morning. Mason jars and empty bottles filled with roses and sunflowers set atop picnic tables beneath the pavilion. The sunflowers represented Kylan, a tall, bright lover of the outdoors, and the roses represented Crystal, her hard-nosed, loving companion in life. The newlyweds were found shot to death on August the 18th. Their bodies located in a creek near their campsite in the nearby LaSalle Mountains. The colourful flowers Friday greeted residents who slowly found their seats for a memorial and celebration of the couple's lives. Kylan was the greatest thing that ever happened to this dad. Her father, Sean, told the crowd of about 70 attendees, many of whom hugged him as they arrived for the event. Another light came into my life. It was Crystal. I loved her like my own daughter. The event marked nearly a month since the women were found dead. It took place the same week that Northport, Florida police authorities were investigating a possible link between the double homicide and the disappearance of missing Florida woman Gabrielle Petito, who passed through Moab while on a cross-country trip with her fiancé in mid-August. Petito was reported missing on September 11th, 10 days after police and Laundrie returned to Florida alone. So it all happened around that same time. No, not far at all. Not far at all. Hey, Elena, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Thank you, Teresa. Moab police on the August 12th had investigated a domestic problem between Petito and her fiancé. It was reported outside of the Moonflower Community Cooperative in town where Schultz worked. and did not result in any charges, but an officer opted to separate Petito and Laundrie for the night so they could relax their emotions. Authorities have since ruled out any connection. No suspect name. Kylan and Turner were last seen leaving Woody's Tavern on August the 13th. They were camping in the South Mesa area of the LaSalle Mountains when they complained to friends about a creepy guy near their campsite who intimidated them. Schultz warned her friends that if something happens to us, we were murdered. That's a horrible thing to say, isn't it? They were found dead 5 days later by Moab art collector Cindy, who had set out on a personal search and rescue mission. The hunter knew Kylan's father because she had featured his art in her gallery. She was on the phone with him when she found the couple's car, then one of their bodies, quickly reporting the discovery to the Grand County Sheriff's Office. I want the mayor and sheriff to give the keys to the city to Sue Hunter, who is the true hero of this story. The father also expressed gratitude for the efforts of the Moab Police Department, the Grand County Sheriff's Office, and the FBI, which he hoped would swoop in and take over the case. In an effort to scrounge up more community tips, he set up what he calls a clue booth 2 weeks ago at Swanee Park, which has led to some new information. The Grand County Sheriff's Office continues to investigate, but no suspect has been named. So that's really, really scary. Autumn. Could they have been followed from the bar? Yeah, absolutely. They could have been followed by the bar. Who knows what type of character was hanging out there and followed them. But maybe they knew if they were in the bar and the girls were having a good time, maybe someone overheard them saying they were camping at this location and the person thought, oh, yeah, camping here. Well, no one around there, you know. Could have been a hate crime. He could have thought, oh, there's 2 lesbian women. I'm not going to let this stand. It's horrible, and follow them out to the campsite. That could have happened easily. Do you think if they were describing Laundrie, they were describing a creepy man? He is pretty creepy, so they could have been describing him. But, yeah. Curious Kiwi says no such thing as coincidences. Well, sometimes there are, sometimes there are not, I guess. But it's just really weird how they have no clue for weeks, or no murders for months or years even, and then all of a sudden there's 3 murders in around the vicinity. I don't know. A creepy man could describe many people. It could be men that look just normal, but their actions are creepy. So, yeah. And even if it's evening, it'll be freaky. Yeah. Actually, I don't think I'd like to camp in America at all. I think that's a pretty scary place to be camping. So yeah, not for me. So over the next until the next couple of days, if any of you hear about a case going on in your area or somewhere and we want to look it up as a team, then let me know and we can do that, because other cases deserve to get heard as well. That's for sure. Now, with the memorial for these 2 ladies, the dad says, at the Friday event, the father said there would be no discussion of the couple's killer. Instead, he told stories about his daughter and Turner as attendees ate hamburgers and listened to live music from Moab musician Gigi Love, who performed an original composition called Lullaby for Desert Girls. Kylan and Crystal, you were desert girls swimming in the creek, she sang. You were mountain girls with the pines beneath your feet and this red rock world living so sweet. Kylan first met Turner while she was on a hike with her father. Before she moved to Moab with him, she was shut down, he said. She had been abused and was experiencing suicidal thoughts, but she had blossomed at Crystal's side. She told me that moving to Moab saved her life. During the event, Sean Paul Schultz also imitated Turner's Arkansas drawl, reminisced about the couple's treehouse wedding in April, and talked about his daughter's feisty demeanor. He was touched to find that someone had left a sunflower and a rose at her burial site in Billings, Montana, where the Schultz are originally from. Oh, poor Dad. Sounds awful. What sort of campground is this? One with set-out spots where you would put your tent, or free camping spots where you hike to and find your own spot in the woods? I don't actually know. I'll have to look it up. What was it called? Last something or other. I have to go have a look. And when you're having a look, so South Mesa area, I'll have a look too. God, that doesn't give me anything, guys. South Mesa Elementary School. No. That wasn't it. South Mesa area of the LaSalle Mountains. Let's try the LaSalle Mountains. Let's see if we can get an image. Got a few little pictures we might be able to find. Anna, it sounds a lot more scary nowadays than it used to. Absolutely. Oh no, Moab Police. Hello, how are you? Great to have you here. Uh-oh, the Moab Police are watching you. They surely are. So if I share the screen for a minute and you can see what I'm seeing, then so this is what I'm getting for the LaSalle Mountains in Moab. Wonder if I can get terrain here. But that doesn't help much, does it? But beautiful. So it doesn't look like doesn't look like designated camping spots. I'm not sure. But it looks like it's got beautiful scenery. I mean, although it's a campground here, that's beautiful. You must be touched on something there, TJ. What do you mean by that? It's gorgeous. Yeah, it is a nice place. It looks beautiful. Hang on. So if we go up here, I'll put you back on again because I just found something that says about campgrounds and stuff. So it looks like a really big place because up here at the top, you've got lodging and campgrounds. They've got heaps of attractions, campgrounds, commercial, national, state and forest, guest houses. So I don't think the girls are being guests. So if we go campgrounds here, whatever that means, I don't know what BLM means. Bureau of Land Management. Well, it doesn't give you pictures. But apparently all of these are campgrounds. So they could have been anywhere. But I do know it was said that they liked to be alone. So there's every opportunity that they weren't in an actual campground. Maybe they just sort of went off road and made their own, because these are more campgrounds. There's shitloads of them. Even Dead Horse Point. That sounds lovely. So yeah, definitely it's a beautiful place, and I don't think they would have stayed on the tracks. I think they would have gone off the beaten track, and yeah, hike-in spots would be harder to find. Absolutely. Life After Life Paranormal Podcast. Hey, good to see you. Yeah, I seen Anna, the Moab police are in here watching. Looks like there are some rented cabins, etc. out there too, but they said tent, right? I'm on the same site you are, TJ. Oh yeah, keep looking. No, I'm pretty sure they were in a tent, and from what I heard, but of course don't quote me, as they liked to be as far away from people as possibly they can. Some sites are super small, only 5 to 10 tents. Right. So do you think there's a possibility that the cops are saying there's no connection right at the moment because of everything that's going on with the Laundrie case? Or is there truly no connection? They don't think there is. I'm just wondering if they just don't want to put out their information or anything to show that it could be related and are keeping it close to the vest. Yeah, you don't know. So anything else you guys want to talk about? I do urge you, if you haven't gone to watch any of the videos on my channel, please do so. It's really, really appreciated. Okay. Just trying to get something here for you.
I can hold your camera when you jump in if you are jumping in. Taser good, not getting wet. Tell you what, just follow my path so you don't fall in.
So we've got dog.
You should be good with the depth. It's only about 2.5 feet.
I just wonder if he's getting too old for this stuff. It must be tough work. But he looks good though, like, you know, body-wise and that. But it's definitely not easy work they're doing. And he must believe, to some degree, he must believe that...
Hey, can you push the boat over so Dog can get through there? I got it.
Something is out there for him to go through all this.
Taser good, not getting wet?
Yeah, I think so. A little bit. I jumped in the slide.
Tell you what, just follow my path so you don't fall in any holes.
You went through my phone over to you?
Hey, you should be good with the depth. It's only about 2.5 feet.
Watch out for the other.
Definitely does not look nice.
First, make sure it's not too deep.
Definitely does not look nice at all. Anna, Laundrie overshadowed the girls. Yeah, Yeah, it did, unfortunately. We haven't heard as much of the girls as we have about bloody Laundrie. Autumn, I think it's just a bizarre coincidence. Yeah, I think it's a bit of a bizarre coincidence too, and it is quite random, definitely. Just got a couple of good shots of the campsites in the area. Some look like they drive in gravel parking spots with a grass patch for the tent, so not super secluded. That's at Warner Lake. In a TV announcement, they said after exhaustive search, there were 5-minute walks from van. They never really looked for the girls to start with. Oh, that's sad. It says dispersed camping is allowed, which means they can put down a tent anywhere within 150 of the forest road. That was probably more like them to be away from people. I definitely think that was more the MO. It's nearly October, isn't it? It is October. So I'm just looking for any latest developments coming out. I'm only just learning how to use Twitter, but it's actually been really, really good. When it does what I want to. Get up there, shit. So we've heard about the press conference tomorrow. Now, Jonathan Lee Richards is the one guy, you know how there was a couple of people outside protesting. There was the blonde lady called Andrea, and there was a guy called Jonathan Lee Richards. And he was the one that got assaulted by a neighbor. He has just posted, we've got breaking news coming out soon on Brian Laundrie's Mustang, seen by 2 separate witnesses on Monday, September the 13th. So that's very interesting. Autumn says, I guess so. I don't know how likely it would be that someone stumbled upon them, though. So most likely they were followed or targeted. Yeah, I wonder if they were followed from the bar. Sadly. Okay, just looking at JB on Twitter, he has said records obtained by WFLA reveal there's been kidnapping and death threats to Cassie Laundrie and her family after her brother Brian Laundrie went missing in September. That's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Yeah. So they're talking, they're receiving messages from random people talking about killing his family and kidnapping his kids. That's awful. Absolutely awful. News Nation now says the Teton County, Wyoming coroner is calling a news conference for Tuesday afternoon to discuss his findings regarding the body of Gabby Petito, along with an identification. The medical examiner could also reveal the cause of death in the autopsy. And I think that's what we really, really want to know, is the cause of death. I don't know why that would help us, but I think people just want to know, I guess. That's very sad if they're getting death threats, though. That goes takes it too far, I think. Takes it way too far. maybe that's why Cassie came out to talk to those protesters and beg them to stop, because this has gone, way too far when you're getting death threats and people are threatening to kidnap your children. Is this something from the rise of social media, that so many people know what's going on and want to go and do something, and they all make plans together on social media and then, decide to go and do things like this? Do you think social media has a big part to play in these kind of threats to the people involved? Anna says, what? Oh my God. Then she says, oh no, all for say, wow. And then ridiculous. And then she's got kids. She has got kids. And you can't have stuff going on like that. That's unacceptable. I mean, doesn't Brian know this? Doesn't he understand what's going on? Why is he letting his family go through this? He must be one selfish piece of shit to be letting his family go through death threats and kidnapping threats and shit like that. It's absolutely awful. What a effing piece of shit this guy is. Autumn says it makes it easier to organise, for sure. Absolutely, it makes it organised. I've seen other channels rally their members to go and do things to other channels, and it's been done. And I'm not mentioning them, but it's easy. It's been done. So, yeah, I think it's easy to organise something on here, and I think that is really, really scary. And how long is it going to go on for? If they can't find him, does that mean these people are going to get death threats and keep getting them and keep getting them? And it's so easy to get worked up. Yeah, I know. I'm getting myself worked up a little bit just, talking about him. Julie says social media definitely has a big part in it. We still need to have a moral compass. But, say all of us on this channel have a moral compass. That's not to say that the millions of other people on YouTube have a moral compass. That's for sure. Everyone's moral compass, or what they perceive to be there, is just not even the same. Why is that not coming? Come on. Autumn says, I think I know which one you're talking about, and it sucked. Yeah, I'm not going to go over things like that. Apparently today at the Laundrie's house to the protesters, an anonymous person just sent Dunkin' Donuts and iced coffee to the outside of the home to Brian Laundrie. Delivery driver said it was for the protesters, not the Laundries. Thank you for all your support. We seek justice for Gabby Petito. It's crazy. You don't actually see too much backlash from the neighbours. I've seen neighbours have been the ones that have been like putting Gabby's signs in there. Half the neighbours are earning money because everyone's paying to use their house to be out there, but they can't be out there forever. So there's got to be an end to the protesting eventually, you'd think anyway. So the park is open. The park where the police were searching has now been opened, and there's a lot of people been driving through and showing us how dangerous it is in there. So obviously they don't think he's in there, which means if he's not in there, if is he? Is he on the Appalachian Trail? Like he said he would go, and like a lot of people think. If I were a neighbour, I would be ticked. Yeah. Especially the blow horns, but they haven't got those anymore, thank God. But some of the screening can drive you up the wall. Absolutely. It would piss me off. I don't know how they do it. Right. I'm just... Who's got an unsolved case around the area that needs to be looked into? Any people missing? That was nuts. Yeah. What about the Charlie Project? Let's go to the Charlie Project. Have any of you actually seen the Charlie Project before? Julie says, I think if those people weren't there all the time, maybe the laundries may slip up. Possibly. Okay. So this is the Charlie Project. I'm trying to do the same sort of thing in New Zealand at the moment, but I wish we did have something. It's basically a database of every missing person in the US, I think, or adults. I think it's mainly adults or something like that. If you're going into chronological cases, I guess. I saw a missing case, a lady from the Bay Area missing from September 4th, but I need to do some more research. I think I first heard about the Charlie Project from John Norden. Yes, I did too. Take a case like the serial person, okay? They really don't get caught by accident. They want to get caught. Well, I'm thinking maybe we should look at ones that have happened recently. Oh my God, look at all of them. And maybe we could pick like 2 or 3, and it could be our homework until I pop on maybe what's tomorrow or the next day, and see what we can all come up with and see what sort of information. What's this one? Okay, this is a lady called Jasmine Moore. She is missing. She's a black woman missing from Chesterfield, Virginia. She's an African-American female, black hair, brown eyes. Moore has a tattoo of the name Quincy above the name Elijah on the left side of her chest. Her tongue and ears are pierced. Her bottom lip and nose are also pierced on the right side, but she wasn't wearing jewelry in those piercings at the time. Moore was last seen leaving her residence on the 20100 block of Rowanty Court at 10:40 p.m. on October 2020. She was never heard from again. On October 5th, her black Ford Taurus was found on the North Bank on-ramp. A photo of this case. She left 2 children behind. Okay, so this is one of the cases that we're going to look at, ladies. I'm going to put her name in here. And I'm going to write it down too. Yeah, she is gorgeous. She's got lovely hair. Alfreda Moore. It's always sad when kids are left behind. Yeah, it is. Her name is Jasmine Lena Alfreda Moore. I've just put her name into the chat there, so take that name down. And we'll do another one. And what I want us to do is all go away and do as much research as you can about the case. If you can, there might not be much. There might be some. This is what me and John Warden do. We go and we look at someone. We go and find as many articles about them, or there might be a podcast about them, or anything you can find to try and put a bit of a story together on what might happen. And we'll do a guy. Got it? Okay. This guy, Edward Leon Brunt III. Now, this is going to be interesting because he looks like he was at a state park. So that one might be a bit hard to find information on. I don't know. How do you pick? How do you pick? There's so many. Okay. All right, this one's got quite a bit of information. Okay, guys, this is going to be our second one. Anthony Dean Richards, missing since 8th of 2020 from Redding, California, classified as endangered missing. He's a male, white, born on the 27th, 1986, which makes him 35 or 34. He's 5'10", 120 pounds. Caucasian male, black hair, hazel eyes. Richard's nickname is Tony. He has gauged piercing in his ear. He has the following tattoos: a multicolored full sleeve on his left arm, a design on the center of the chest, the word NorCal on his neck, and a Jason Voorhees mask behind his right ear. Photos of some of his tattoos are posted with this case summary. Okay. Richards was last seen in Redding, California on August the 19th, 2020. He went missing after dropping his fiancée and child off at Sacramento International Airport. They were on their way to New York City to live, and Richards planned to join them in a few days. After he left them at the airport, he did make it back to Redding. Arriving at 1 a.m., he was supposed to go to Crescent City, California, to go fishing with his younger brother on either the 21st of August or the 22nd, one last time before he moved across the country. He never arrived in Crescent City and also never picked up his last paycheck from his employer, the Woodside Grill. He has never been heard from again. Several days after his disappearance, Richard's aunt found his vehicle in a parking lot in the boat ramp area at Lake Redding Park. It was locked and there was food inside it, which his aunt thought had been left there as recently as the night before she found the car. There was no sign of Richards at the scene, and a search turned up no indication of his whereabouts. He is considered missing under suspicious circumstances, and his case remains unsolved. All right, so that's going to be our second one. We'll just do two at the moment. So paste. Yeah. Okay, so we've got Jasmine Lena Alfreda Moore. And we've got Anthony Dean Richards. So how much time do you think, girls, that we'll need before we come together again and see what information we've got? Do you want me to come tomorrow, or should we wait for Thursday, which is 2 days from now, because in New Zealand it's Tuesday. So do you want me to come back tomorrow or in a couple of days, giving us time to go through these names and see how much we can find out about them? What do you think? Okay, one thing in California, you can't call the cops or talk to anyone. What do you mean by that? You can't talk to the cops for information? Is that what you mean? Autumn, you say you'd give it a couple of days? Couple of days? Yeah, that sounds good. So, need to head to bed, so I'll talk to you in the morning. I'll look into those names tomorrow. Thanks, Autumn. Love to have you here, darling. So I will leave tomorrow, but I'll come back on the next day, which is a Thursday for us Kiwis. And let's all just find out what you can. Anna, just even if you try to, I know you can do an information act over there or something to try and get to get information, but look up for articles and different things, see what's out there. You people in America may be able to get different articles from over here in New Zealand. I don't know, you might be able to get access to more. But yeah, we'll just say and see if we can look into these cases and see what we can find out. All right, guys. I'm going to go because I'm having trouble talking properly, and that's always a good sign. And thank you very much for hanging around with me today. I will see you on Thursday, and let's see what information we can find out about these cases. Hopefully we get some information from the coroner's report tomorrow, and we can talk about that as well. And it says, you never looked up someone before? That's interesting. It's interesting. Good night, TJ. Thank you. Great. Thanks, Julie. I can't wait to see you again and to see what great work we've all been doing. All right. See you later, guys. Thanks so much.